Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a nice midweek fresh pour. Uh, Unfortunately, we couldn't get the rest of the team here today, but there is some exciting news in world football. My name is Matt, if you do not know, as well as we have Andrew, our resident Bundesliga expert, here with us today. And
At least he's not right. I'll take it.
it's just Andrew. I think when it's just between you and me, it's just Andrew. But we have some exciting news in the Bundesliga. If your cell phone has had even shit signal, you've heard that Bayern Munich have won the Bundesliga title for the 8th straight year. And
congrats to
now,
the boys.
as that to say, I mean, not without a little bit of drama, down a man with 10 minutes left.
Oh, yeah. And Neuer making that little fingertip save right at the end there. I mean, it was Bremen. We were playing Bremen, who was fighting relegation, but I'm not going to say that they made it easy for us.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, I think there's 3 things in life that you're sure of, and that's death, taxes, and Manuel Neuer just doing his job.
Yes.
I feel like there's 3 things in life I can guarantee, and it's those 3 things.
You're not wrong.
So something that we wanted to talk about in a little discussion that happened with our group today was, does teams winning their league every single year hurt the actual league's reputation? So something to bring into consideration that, Bayern have now won this league title, which is 8 in a row. Juventus as well. If they win the league this year, that's going to be 9 consecutive Italian championships, as well as PSG have won the French league 7 of the last 10 years and 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
It comes down to it that, does teams winning every single year hurt the reputation? I think it does hurt the reputation a little bit, because before the season even starts, I think you're turning off some of those neutral fans who may or may not want to invest in a team, or may or may not want to invest just their time, their free time. I mean, everyone in the world watched German soccer when it returned because it was the first top European football back.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it started to fade away a little bit towards the end, now that all the other leagues are slowly starting to work their way in. But I think what also hurt it is when everyone started watching, it seems to be the same story that happens every year. Dortmund's neck and neck with Bayern. Dortmund, Leipzig, Gladbach slip. Bayern takes advantage. And then Bayern wins the league. I think everyone had a front row seat to that this year, unlike past years. But I know people who have never watched a minute of German soccer who know Bayern Munich just win the league every year.
Yeah.
So being a Bundesliga...
Piggyback off of that, I do agree with you that having the optics of the same team wins every year, it does suck. People know Bayern's won 8 years. They kind of like, oh, why watch it again? They're going to win next year. In Italy, you have the same situation with Juventus. But when you look at the minutia of it, like all of us do, because we're just soccer nerds, and look into it, like the way that the races go are super exciting. The fact that Leicester City surprised the world and won the league a couple of years ago in the EPL, that was huge for them, because even there, where the same team doesn't win every single year, it's still either like Man City, Man U, now Liverpool. Like there's still like a select Chelsea. There's like a select few teams you would expect. And when someone that wasn't one of those teams won, it was like a shock. But the way that, if Juventus wins this year, they're in a neck-and-neck race. It's not like, a team like Man City a couple of years ago that just blew the league out, or Liverpool like this year. So the story behind the weeks in and weeks out of how these victories go, it kind of tells more than just seeing what team won. And as a Bayern fan, this year we had to sit through a firing of a coach, our star center back getting an ACL tear out for the season, then the World Cup winner center back that we won gets an injury out for most of the season. Then we had to adjust our lineup, and thankfully had a 20-year-old child show up and be the best left back in Europe, but we couldn't have predicted that. And at one point in the season, we're in 7th place and dug their way out to win a title. That story to me is why I will always enjoy this victory, even though it's the 8th consecutive one. And on top of that, we last year just retired Robin and Ribéry. So all those factors are not things that, if you don't follow the league or if you're not a Bayern fan, you don't really know. and can't appreciate. But I really do appreciate it because I was there for the whole journey. And this year, like, I'm not going to lie, Dortmund was a really, really, really good team. And I say all the time, I really don't want them to lose their players because I want there to be a competitive race. And if Dortmund and, Timo Werner at Leipzig, if these players stay at their teams, you get more competitive races, which gets more eyes in the league, which I want.
So I'm going to look this up. I'm not going to look it up now. When was the last time a team fired their coach mid-season and still won the league? I think that's something.
It was Bayern like 2 years ago when we fired Ancelotti.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad I didn't.
Fired Ancelotti after PSG eliminated us in the Champions League, and then that's the year that Jupp Heynckes came out of retirement and won us a double.
Well, to everyone now, I don't need to go look anything up. So as you said, you're a massive Bayern Munich fan. So no matter what, you're invested in it no matter what. But from your opinion, do you believe that sometimes hurts capturing that new audience? Like when people talk about the Premier League, they talk about neck and neck races. Not this year, of course, Liverpool. Right. I mean, I really think the Liverpool side could play the kids. And when I mean the kids, I mean the U16s for the rest of the season. And they will still find a way to win 6 of their last 10 games. Yeah. But do you think it hurts capturing that new audience? Like, I know for a fact there are certain people who label the French league as a farmers league because literally it's just, PSG's for the taking every single year. Monaco did have that 1 or 2 off years, but then what does PSG do? They just buy players no one else can afford. And the 1 year Monaco had that great team, they got gutted 2 weeks into the transfer window. So even if you were invested in the French league, now it's like, well, the only team that was competing with PSG just got gutted and PSG just got better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It does hurt the optics, and that's the one thing that I don't like about, as a Bayern fan and a Bundesliga fan, like I want more eyes in the league, which, hopefully we got some of those with the, being the first league to return. But I agree, it does hurt the optics of new fans just going like, oh yeah, who's going to win? Oh, the same team that won the last X amount of years. It does hurt it. They'll be like, oh, it's just, why watch it? They're going to win again next year. And they might, they might. Bayern is a very strong team in Germany, and they're always the favorite. But it's the journey of, are they going to, or are they going to slip up? And hardcore fans are going to tune in for that, but casual fans might not. And no, I agree with you there. It's unfortunate. I wish more people could look past that, but that is how it is.
And now we're going to quickly transition into, does outright domestic success actually hurt your Champions League success? And I want to back up on, you always look at PSG. PSG has continuously just beaten senseless the other teams in the French league, but yet always seem to fall short. We all know Champions League is PSG's goal. There's a reason why their new owners came in and invested all that money. And the same thing could even be said about some other teams around the world. But Bayern, if I'm not mistaken, have won the Champions League. I can't quote the year, but
so that was the trouble year.
They've won in the last 10 years. But you look at, over the last few years, so since 2013, they haven't had the Champions League success. And if you look at a Juventus as well, a team that continuously just beats on the rest of Italian soccer, as well seems to have trouble in the big games of Champions League. But then, as I spoke to you right before this, you look at a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. There are teams that know when they slip, the other team is going to take advantage. And I think having that consistent competitive back and forth makes you a little bit more aggressive for those Tuesday and Wednesday night games. Yeah. You look at Liverpool the last few years, they've had great Champions League success. They are the reigning champions. They did just get eliminated, but I think Liverpool know that they are focused on that first English Premier League title in 30 years, and I don't think there's one Liverpool fan who's still upset about it. But you look at it, they're a team that always has to compete with the other teams in their league. You think last year when they won the Champions League, they had to go 13 straight wins just to keep up with Manchester City, who still ended up beating Liverpool by the end of the season.
Right.
Does having that edge of having someone you need to compete with day in and day out help you in Champions League? And at the same time, I just think competition is good. I think
Right.
competition gets your blood flowing. I think it's something
I
that
think my point there is that having higher quality competition in your domestic league keeps you match fit, keeps you game fit for the higher quality competition in Champions League. And that might be what hurts PSG. I mean, PSG did beat Bayern a couple years ago, and that's when we fired our last coach. But, if you're playing teams that I don't even know that many, for Saint Etienne in France, maybe they're not that good team, and then you play them on a Saturday, and on Tuesday you got to play Real Madrid or even a Dortmund or something. That's gonna be like, oh well, the quality is way different here, and Bayern, not Bayern, yeah, Bayern has like 4 or 5 teams that can kind of give them a run for their money in the Bundesliga, so there's a little bit more of that. But yeah, I think having better quality domestic competition definitely keeps the team match fit for the Champions League competition. And then the other side of it, though, is if teams have the domestic league wrapped up and done, in game week 20, 25, then they can just like focus all their assets on Champions League and kind of do it that way. So there's different methods to it, but I definitely think it helps having higher quality competition week in, week out.
My only rebuttal with that is, and I'm going to go back to the Liverpool side this year, they've known they're going to win the league. I mean, the over-under on them winning the league on Christmas was a little bit like, oh my God, they could walk away with this with months to spare.
Yeah.
And if everything that happened didn't happen, they could have won the league with like a month and a half, 2 months left in the season. That's unheard of in English Premier League soccer.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, they got eliminated by a weaker Athletic Madrid side way after basically it was all but said and done in the Premier League. Do you think having such an advantage in the Premier League actually made them a little bit more relaxed, underestimated their opponent, and ended up actually, I mean, don't get me wrong, Adrian, the backup goalie for Liverpool, had a couple blunders in that second leg that, I don't think Allison makes those blunders, but, you got to take who you have with who you have. I just think having that consistent competition in your domestic league and the fact that you always need to be fighting at the top of your game every single day, I think makes not only your star players better, but it makes those off the bench role players better. You look at someone, I mean, again, I'm going to keep going at this Liverpool side. Origi, Shaqiri, these are people who don't see the light of day before the 75th, 80th minute in a Premier League game.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see them get serious minutes in your Champions League because that's when they need to step up. That's when you need to give some of your other players more fresh legs. Those players know that they have to be on the top of their game 24/7. But when you're running away with the league, it's not just your starters that become a little bit more relaxed. It's your coaching staff. It's the rest of your team.
And that's where I was going to go. When it comes to those make or break games or those Tuesday night Champions League games, and you're playing well domestically, that's when it comes to the coach to be like, hey, don't let off the gas, or hey, we had a easy victory. Let's not underestimate this team on Tuesday. It's at that point, it's when it comes to the coaches to instill the mindset of we're not out of the woods yet. Like there's still, okay, cool, we're playing Atletico, but let's not underestimate them. Let's not get in our own heads that like, oh, we're the best team. No, you have to keep grinding, stay humble, and win every game.
Well, I think we've done good for a nice midweek fresh pour. Our goal is to be doing this a lot more. I know the past couple weeks it's been a little bit hectic across the board, at least from the Posts and Pints team, but we're going to hopefully be doing this more on a weekly, maybe a bi-weekly basis. But let us know what you think. Do you believe The two questions that we answered today are, do you believe teams winning the league every single year, does that overall hurt the league or help the league? And then in return, do you believe that consistent domestic success actually hurts European success? So those are questions that we kind of want to ask. Drake,
So
once again, yeah,
your answers in there, and we want to chat with you guys. We want to know what you guys think.
that is exactly it. As well, just because the Bundesliga season it's not technically over yet.
There's 3 matches.
So there's 3 match days, and there's a lot of positions still to figure out. So we're going to try.
European competition race is exciting.
So make sure if you're at least looking on the German side of it, Dre happens to cheat on Posts and Pints every so often with his own podcast, and we don't hate him for it. It's just a little bit of a rough relationship. Make sure to check out Welcome to the Bundesliga. We usually put we put all their stuff, our stuff. We all kind of mix it together. At least we try to like share that info. But we'll make sure we'll put the link, at least the tag in our Instagram. We'll tag them in there so you can make sure to give them a follow. Dre stays on top of all the Bundesliga action. Definitely worth following. The season is not over for some of these teams that are going to fight to the very last minute, which that's what gets people coming back. So.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and check out everything in the comments below.
All right, have a great night, guys.